made him the front man for Subway sandwiches, is an inspiring story, and he had the ability and the position to literally inspire millions to live a healthier lifestyle. He literally had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, young people in particular, that did look up to him, that was holding him up as a role model. And then, what he does with his fame, with his celebrity, he parlays it into the Jared Foundation, and he does what seems to be good works. And the whole time, he exposes himself to younger and younger children, and the whole time, he eventually allows himself to be corrupted to the point of taking advantage of this opportunity. Now, whether this proclivity of his towards underage girls, minors, children, was something that had existed in him for some time, or something that was introduced to him and he was seduced by it, that I don't know. We may never know. And it doesn't really matter which. What does matter is that he did allow this proclivity to come to fruition. And that he used both money and fame to get what he wanted when it came to taking advantage of these children. Now Jared is going to go to jail. Jared will never get to do a Subway sandwich commercial again. The Jared Foundation will probably go away. Now, hopefully, the framework and the good work that was being done will be continued in some fashion. They'll change the name, new people will take over, and it will continue. That's what I hope. Because they were doing good work, the foundation itself. But whether or not it rebrands and moves forward under new leadership or just falls away, that remains to be seen. But in either case, there's no one to blame but Jared and his former associate. But as Jared goes away, as Jared goes to jail, nothing's solved. Because, see, the root of what led him to take these actions still exists. Our society still has a ton of problems that takes us to this point. And this is all part of a successive and progressive assault on our children. And this is something that goes on worldwide. We're targeted here in the United States because of who we are and what we are. But this isn't something that just happens in the United States. Children are under assault everywhere. Our culture and similar Western cultures have a hypersexualized view of children these days. We think it's cute when our 3-year-old little girls are shaking their booty to hip-hop music. And we encourage them by laughing and pointing and saying, hey, do that again in front of our friends. We have toys in the popular big box stores that dress up dolls, making them look like they're little prostitutes. And then think it's cute when our 10, 11, and 12-year-olds dressed in a similar fashion, saying, oh, you look hot. And then we still shake our heads and wonder when they're 15 and 16 and come home and say, Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant. And that's assuming they get to say Mom and Dad. A lot of broken homes. where there's not a strong role model of both man and woman in the house. This is what it means to be a strong, independent woman. This is what it means to be a strong man. This is the idea of manhood you should be seeking for. We don't have that in our culture anymore. But the hypersexual idea, mentality, the over-sexualization, sexting among minors, which is also the transfer of child pornography, by the way, and does get charged on occasion. Should be more often. We have let our kids go down this path either through lack of personal involvement or because we're not asking the right questions when we have the opportunity. We're not setting the right example when we have the right opportunity. That falls on parents. Parents need to do more. Some of you are doing great. Some of you, not so much. And I'm not saying be perfect. I'm not saying it's all your fault. But I am saying, for some of you listening who are parents and are not involved in a positive, healthy fashion in your child's life, you need to take a look at it. I try to evaluate myself every day. I have my own shortcomings, so understand I'm not sitting here throwing rocks, living in the glass house. I recognize I too have work to do. What I'm trying to do right now is awaken you to your responsibilities. And then if you're not a parent, but you are somebody that thinks these other things that I mentioned are cute or cool or fun, then you have a responsibility too. We see it on television. We hear it on the radio. We have embraced a culture that sees sex as a commodity as opposed to a spiritual union. We have a moral corruption in this country and in the majority of Western civilization as a whole that has left us prizing sexual conquest over love. Prizing sexual conquest over intimacy. This has been part of the progressive attack on the Western civilization, especially those that believe in personal liberty. But our children, make no mistake, have been under attack from the far left and from eugenicists and from sexual predators for some time now. Only we no longer seem to be standing up and standing guard at the door. We're letting these ideas and this perversiveness come through the gate. We're allowing our children to be exposed to it, not just in a fashion of, see, this is what it looks like, this is what you need to stay away from, but instead, hey, look at this. Isn't that cool? Let's embrace it. Where we have done that, we have done a disservice to our children. We have done a disservice to the next generation. So whether you're talking about Jared Fogle or the next sexual predator that comes along, whether you're talking about horrible media influences, whether it's music, movies, television, or even if you're talking about organizations like Planned Parenthood that's engaged in the wholesale mass slaughter of unborn children. The assault is ongoing. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen, men and women, boys and girls. It's time for us to put aside whatever political differences we may have. to put aside whatever ideological differences we may have, and recognize the fact that it is time for us to stand up, stand together, and stand in defense of our children, born or unborn, victims already, or children marked to be the next victim. We need to do this. We need to demand higher standards of ourselves so that we can be the example that we want our children to see. And this counts if you're just an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent. It counts if you're just a friend of the family who wants to be a positive role model, even if you don't realize that that's what you want to do yet. The time has come. We must unite on this simple front. We need to do away with human trafficking. We need to do away with child prostitution. Because as bad as what Jared did is, the people that took money to hook him up with minor children are inhuman beasts as well. We need to take a stand when it comes to abortion mills like Planned Parenthood. If I hear one more person, by the way, talk about all the great services Planned Parenthood provides for women, I'm going to throw up. Because the only great service they provide is the fact that they're an abortion mill. The overwhelming majority of services Planned Parenthood claims to provide is really nothing more than referrals to other locations. Referrals of which people, even the poor, could get from their local clinic. Most of the services being provided are referrals to the local clinics. How many licensed mammogram facilities does Planned Parenthood run worldwide? Care to take a guess? I'll make it easy for you. It's less than one, but more than -1. In fact, it's right in the middle. Zero, none, nada. They claim mammography and cancer detection and breast health to be one of the major components in what they provide for women's services. They say this. It's in their propaganda. But read it. Read the written versions of the propaganda. Listen carefully to the spin from people that actually represent and speak for Planned Parenthood. And you listen to how they say it. And what they're not saying, and what's inferred but not said out loud, is that they provide a service in that regard in so much as they give you a referral. That's all they do. The minute, the second, the instant Planned Parenthood got into the business of providing abortions, tax dollars from the United States citizens should have been pulled. So when you hear a candidate talking about defunding Planned Parenthood, that should have already happened. Anybody who wants to stand up and fight and say the $500 million in taxpayer money that they get every year should continue, you need to take a long, hard look at. And when it comes to a candidate like Hillary Clinton, who said that Margaret Sanger is one of her heroes, one of the people she looks up to the most in history, a professed and known eugenicist that created Planned Parenthood, and this is in her own words, for the express purpose of eliminating the black race, mental defectives, and, well, for controlling the number of the poor. So in other words, if you made below a certain economic level for your income, you could be perfectly healthy, perfectly normal, and just being a struggling individual, and you were still somebody that wasn't worthy to live in Margaret Sanger's world. And that's who Hillary Clinton thinks is a hero. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is simple. Whatever your religion, whatever your faith, whatever your path, the answer to this is God. So what I'm asking you to do right now